Before we begin, I want to share why this subject matters so deeply to me. I experienced both emotional and physical abuse in my marriage. For a long time, I didn't fully understand what was happening. I thought I could fix it or that somehow it was my fault. It wasn't until I left and had time away that I could see the pattern clearly, the control, the isolation, the fear, and the way I was made to question my own reality. What happened to me was not my fault, and if any of this feels familiar to you, it is not your fault either. Some people do not have our best interests at heart. I made this video to help you recognize the signs sooner, trust what you're experiencing, and know that you deserve safety, respect, and support. Have you ever had an argument and then spent the next 6 hours replaying it in your head? Maybe you thought, I should have said this. Why didn't I stand up for myself? What did they really mean? Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I underreacted. Meanwhile, the other person is already eating dinner, watching television, living their life. So, why can't your brain move on? Why does one conversation become hundreds? Why does one sentence echo in your mind for days, sometimes even years? Most people think it's because they care too much or because they're too emotional, but that's not what's happening. Your brain isn't replaying the conversation, it's replaying what it believes was a threat. And once you understand why, you'll stop blaming yourself every time your mind refuses to let go. Part 1. Your brain isn't looking for closure. Imagine you're walking through the woods, you hear something move in the bushes. Your brain immediately asks, was that dangerous? It doesn't wait for evidence. It assumes danger first, because thousands of years ago, being wrong could cost your life. Now, fast forward to today. The danger isn't a predator, it's rejection, humiliation, criticism, being misunderstood, being abandoned. Your nervous system doesn't always know the difference. To your survival brain, social pain can feel like physical danger. So, after an argument ends, your body doesn't simply relax, it begins investigating. What happened? What did I miss? How do I stop this from happening again? That's why your thoughts keep looping, not because your brain wants closure, because your brain wants certainty. Part 2. The trap of growing up on eggshells, 240 to 420. If you grew up around unpredictable people, parents whose moods changed without warning, or later found yourself in a narcissistic relationship, your brain learned a very specific job. Scan everything, watch every facial expression, listen for every change in tone, notice every sigh, predict every explosion. Because if you could predict it, maybe you could survive it. So you became incredibly observant. People even compliment you. You're so empathetic. You're so emotionally intelligent. But sometimes that isn't emotional intelligence. It's hypervigilance. There's a difference. One comes from confidence, the other comes from fear. And fear never clocks out. Even after the argument ends, your nervous system keeps working overtime, searching, analyzing, preparing. The argument never really ended. 420 to 6. Here's something that surprised psychologists. The body often reacts to remembered stress, almost the same way it reacts to real stress. Think about that. Your heart speeds up, your shoulders tighten, your stomach sinks. Even though you're standing alone in your kitchen, nothing is happening except your brain has reopened the file. Every replay tells your nervous system the danger is back. So your body releases stress again, which makes the memory feel more important, which makes you replay it again. It's a loop, not because you're weak, because your brain believes it's protecting you. Part 4. Why you never find the perfect comeback 6 to 720. Have you noticed something strange? No matter how many times you replay the conversation, you never feel finished because your brain keeps searching for the perfect sentence, the perfect explanation, the perfect comeback. But here's the problem. You're trying to solve an emotional wound. With logic, if someone wanted to misunderstand you, no perfect sentence would have changed that. If someone wanted control, no perfect comeback would have taken it away. Sometimes the argument wasn't about communication, it was about power. And that's why your brain never finds the answer it's looking for, because the answer never existed. Part 5. What actually stops the loop? 720 to 840. Most people think healing means winning future arguments. It doesn't. Healing means teaching your nervous system that every conflict is not an emergency, that you don't have to earn your worth, you don't have to explain yourself to everyone, you don't have to convince someone to see your value, and most importantly, you don't have to solve every misunderstanding. Sometimes peace begins the moment you allow someone else to be wrong about you. That's incredibly uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent years trying to control how other people see you. But freedom isn't controlling their opinion. Freedom is realizing their opinion no longer controls you. Ending 840 to 920. The next time you catch yourself replaying an argument, instead of asking, what should I have said? Ask yourself something different. Why does my nervous system still believe I'm in danger? That single question changes everything. Because healing isn't training your brain to win every conversation. It's teaching your body that the conversation's already over, and once your nervous system believes it's finally safe, you'll notice something incredible. The thoughts stop chasing you. Not because you forced them to disappear, but because your mind no longer needs them. And that is what emotional freedom actually feels like.